Hey everyone, it's Maddie and V, and this afternoon we are setting ourselves a challenge. We want to read a book in one sitting, although we have set some rules for this, and it's basically that we can't consume any other media whilst we're reading this book, but we can pause to film our updates and chat to each other about it. So it's time to go down to the library and get choosing.
Here we go. The shelves, they present themselves.
I think another rule that I've just thought of is that it has to be a book that we haven't already read, because obviously rereads would increase your speed, and I want to see authentically if we can read something new.
Oh, now I don't know, because we haven't really got our shelves arranged in like size order. So where are all the small books anymore? We've just done a huge reorganisation of all of this. This little pod here is all of our newly acquired books. So we do have some things from the library.
Now, library books would be good to read because obviously we have a deadline to get those finished anyway, so adding an extra like one sitting challenge may be good, but I think quite a lot of the library books I have are like long. This one's actually only 312 pages, even though it's like deceptively big, so this one's definitely in the running.
In contention.
I did think that you should read this one.
Yeah.
But I think...
Fits the action list.
Yes, but it's 380 pages, so that might be a bit big.
Maybe leave it out just for an option.
Yeah.
Should I pick a short one for you and then you can pick one for me?
Okay, yeah, sure.
So little sister picks by TBR.
I've wanted you to read this one for a while since I read it, and it's We Were Okay by Nina LaCour. A short one, but it packs a punch, so you may want to take it a little slower, I don't know, but it is only 235 pages.
Oh wow, okay, that's definitely a short one.
This is a little shelf of all of the books that we're essentially going to read and unhaul if we don't like them. Obviously, if we do, then they get promoted back to these shelves, but if we don't read them all during a year, then they're just being gotten rid of anyway. How long is As I Descended? Okay, 360 and tiny font.
What about Monument 14? Because that's one I've been thinking about.
Oh, huge font in this one. 340. So
maybe the big font like makes up for that though?
Yeah, erring on the long side, so I can put this on your pile. I wanted to see How Long the Skies Everywhere was.
It took me a long time to read I'll Give You the Sun though, so I might want to devour that one slowly.
It's got the same like poetry things
okay.
out, so maybe not that one. Okay. Another short one by the looks of it is The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslie Walton.
But I think stories?
Yes, I do, but isn't her writing quite lyrical? Like, it needs to be something easy that I don't really have to think about. You know when you just want, like, a cheesy movie to just, like, chill to? That is what I need in a book version.
So these are the choices as they stand. The ones on the left are for me, and the ones on the right are for B.
I really think Monument 14 might win for me, even though it's, like, quite long. Oh, it's also a countdown narrative from Those Add Up. At the corner it says what day it is. I love a good countdown narrative. That definitely helps with reading speed.
The sand is running out, so we need to pick a choice. So I'm going to force you to make a decision.
I think it's between these two. Obviously this one is the shortest one, but as you said, it's quite an emotional read, so I'm not sure if I'm ready. And this one is a library book, and it looked quite pacey, so should I just put them behind my back and you choose, like, a hand?
I think you should go with If You Find Me, because that was your first instinct, I think.
Yeah, I'll just go with this one anyway. We've decided to read in my room because I still have a little bit of light on this side of the house. And we've also switched into our glasses rather than contact lenses for ultimate comfort and speed reading. It's just about 5 o'clock and I've read 100 pages of my book. And I am at 84, so I'm a little behind. But it took a while because this is dystopian to really settle into the world and all of the new terms. And it was action-packed right from the beginning. Like, it starts the very first chapter, they're on the bus to school, and then there is a mad hailstorm, and they're like boulders of hail, and it completely destroys the bus, and kids have died, and it's a rescue mission, and the younger kids manage to survive, and they drive into this supermarket, which I assume is where the rest of the book is going to take place, and that's where they take shelter, the ones that survive anyway. That sounds really intense.
I know, it is.
So I thought mine would start where they'd be in the woods for a lot longer, but actually the first chapter is them being taken away from the woods by social services and their father, who they don't really know. 100 pages through, they've been shown their new family, and they're getting to know, like, just regular things that normal people would know about, like dishwashers and showers, and knowing how to eat food at the right pace so they don't make themselves ill. And Carrie, our main character, is talking a little bit about her experiences in the woods, and they seem really dark. Like, she hints that she was sexually abused by people that her mother brought to her, and also she keeps mentioning the White Star Night, which I think is like her worst, most traumatic memory. I'm thinking that we will get to know about that, but I'm almost scared too. So far in the book I've got to day 2 and I'm heading towards day 3, and they've just found out that there is chemical warfare. I really
really love the different personalities of all of the characters. Like, Nico is very sensible and he's thinking like 3 steps ahead of everyone else. He's like, we have to shut off the air conditioners in this supermarket, otherwise all of the chemicals are going to filter through and start affecting us. There's only one older girl, Astrid, and she has worked at this supermarket before, so she knows the ins and outs of it, so she's very useful. And then we have our main character, Dean, who's a little bit mysterious. He's the one that's writing the story, and he was affected very interestingly when they went upstairs to the roof to shut off the air conditioners. The chemical exposure made him Hulk out, essentially. He got very, very violent. He's in love with Astrid, which is a little bit boring because he's in love with her just because she's like beautiful, athletic, perfect, essentially. So I don't know how I'm feeling towards him, but the whole scenario that it's really post-apocalyptic, and I love that you're seeing it from the moment of outbreak, because normally you join these characters like 100 years in when they're used to life, and the whole thing is beyond recognition to what life is like today.
We're at the point where it's got properly dark outside, so time to shut those curtains. How are you getting on now, Bea? I am at day 6, so I'm halfway through the days and about halfway through the book, which I'm proud of. We've still got like an hour, maybe a bit less until dinner, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish all of that by then, but I'm really enjoying it. We've just kind of got to the calm after the storm. They have elected a new leader because they had an adult, one of the bus drivers, and she was there until they got locked into the superstore, and she went out to try and get help. And in the absence, this guy Jake, who was the quarterback, was the leader, but he wasn't very resourceful and he didn't have any structure, especially for the children, so it was kind of running wild everywhere. So now they have elected Nico, and he was the one I was talking about earlier, so he's given them a routine and a sense of purpose. There was an episode where they discovered that the water had also been infected by the chemical when a bunch of the children went to the loo, and the chemicals affect different people based on their blood types, and O is the worst because that causes the Hulk out, the aggression. And it turns out that Astrid, the girl that Dina likes, is type O, and she almost killed one of the children by strangling him, and so she has been absent for the last 48 hours. We don't know what she's been up to.
What do you think of the pace? Is it moving quickly?
It is moving quickly, and I am very invested in it, but because I really like the characters and like the writing too, I feel like maybe I'm reading a little slower because I want it to last. I'm scared for when we get to the climax, and I'm sure like things are going to get worse before they get better. I've no idea of the ending. A while ago I said that I think that Monument 14 is like the town and the population. There are only 14 of them in this supermarket, so I think that it's just going to be total devastation outside. I'm 200 pages through, and we're at the point where Carrie and Janessa have started to go to school, so they've really climatized their environment. But now Carrie is starting to get a little bit homesick for the woods because she feels like that's where she belongs, and it's kind of a contrast with her sister, who feels like she's really at home in the normal world.
I guess because she's younger, it's easier for her
exactly.
to adjust and forget.
It feels like the family have really accepted her. She is gaining friends, she's gaining confidence, so she started speaking again as she was mute beforehand. That's obviously really nice to see her development. And Carrie has a couple of friends at her school. Pixie, who is 12 years old but is the same as Carrie in the fact that she's been accelerated up some grades. And also a boy called Ryan, who her stepsister also likes, but he was the first boy to be kind to her when she first started the school and is encouraging her to pursue a violin.
What's the narrative style of the story like? Does it have any like backstory sections?
It's split into 3 parts, and I'm on the second part now. So the first part is called The End, and then the middle is called The Middle, and then the third part is called The Beginning. I think maybe we'll get more backstory at the very end of the narrative. I feel like I'm reading it quickly because it is getting constantly better for them, and I'm just waiting for that moment where it goes sour, because their mum before this point was telling them that their father was a terrible man who would abuse them, and so that's why she chose to kind of remove them from the situation, and now they're learning that it's actually the mum that was more volatile than the father. So I was waiting for him to snap, just as Carrie was, but when he doesn't, I'm a little bit nervous for when something like that does happen.
Is the book what you were expecting, or has it taken like
Definitely
a different...
not, because I thought it would be way more survival based for the woods, and I think that's what the blurb tells you, and I was very surprised to see that only the first like 5 pages were about that. You have got to know about it in backstory a little bit, but overall it's just about her going back to civilization, so in that way it's a lot like Room by Emma Donoghue. The one light of this book is Melissa, who is their father's wife, and she's taken on the girls really well. She is kind of the mediator between the girls and her existing daughter Delaney, who really doesn't like them, and she's so sweet. I just read a really lovely scene where she tells Carrie that it's okay to still want to love the woods and that she can still be that person that survived there. I really like that warm figure that she has.
So I'm 30 pages from the end, and it's finally been revealed what Carrie's big secret was. A lot of their backstory is told in italics throughout the book, so you get little snapshots of what it was like for them in the woods and how their mother acted. And she was probably terrible to them. Through Carrie's eyes, you don't really see that very well, but it turns out that Ryan knew her as a child before she got kidnapped and was able to explain more about how her mother acted even back then. It also gave more weight to Ryan's character and really endeared me to him. I hope that I get another scene with them in these last 30 pages. And I'm finally finished with the book. My cheeks are really pink and my eyes are a little wet because I did have a little cry at the end. It was just, in the end, a surprisingly beautiful story. I kept expecting something to go wrong, and there was this huge secret that Carrie was sitting on throughout the whole book, and it's heartbreaking, but just knowing that she'll be okay and that she'll find a new family and a new place is such a relief. I really enjoyed this book. It was very different to what I was expecting, just based on how it's marketed, of this scary man coming after them. That definitely put a dark shadow on things, but that's not at all what this book is, so I think the cover is really misleading. And I forgot to mention that the book has a really satisfying epilogue, and it did give me that final scene between Ryan and Carrie. That's actually how they leave the story, with them being together, and it also clears up what will happen with the police in the future, so I'm really pleased that you just got those extra 20 pages to really give a satisfying conclusion to the story. And I think the thing that hit me in the heart the most was when Janessa called Melissa mum.
I just finished Monument 14 and I'm probably going to give it 4 stars because it was really, really good. I was so sucked in by the story and I didn't want to put it down, so it was the absolute perfect choice for this challenge today. The climax that I was expecting was very good. It reminded me kind of Z is for Zachariah, which is this like old dystopian that we had to read when we were in year 8. And the climax revolved around the guns that were introduced earlier on in the book, because you can't show a gun without it going off at some point. The ending is kind of unsatisfying, especially when it seems like the second book is written from Alex's perspective, who's Dean's brother. I'm just going to talk some spoilers for the end. The group splits, so it's all of the O blood types versus everyone else who are trying to get help, and they're searching for their parents who may or may not still be alive. I know that the O blood types are probably the ones being left behind, and I don't know whether we're going to see or hear from them at all in the second book. It may be dual POV, which would probably make me more likely to read it. I really enjoyed the stakes of this book. It was perfectly paced and so well done. I think the main character of Dean was a little bit boring. I was more interested in basically all of the other characters than him, because he was really just the person who saw everything happen and wrote it down. If I can find the next book for cheap on the Amazon Used and New Marketplace, then I will probably be getting it.
And so that's our read a book in one sitting challenge over and done with.
We didn't actually do any reading sprints. That's definitely something we're going to improve on for the next time as well. And I'm just glad we managed to read these stories. I think both were perfect for reading in one go, and hopefully this is something we can do again very soon.
Also, shout out to library books, because they normally languish on our shelves for ages. Like, I pick them out and feel excited about them, and then I have to take them back before I've even opened one. So I'm really pleased that I chose a library book, and hopefully that'll be a decision that I can make again next time.
If we do this again, I think we will also choose underrated books or books we haven't heard anyone talking about, like these two again, because that also made it a really fun experience because I had no expectations of the book.
We hope you enjoyed this video, and we post new ones every week.
You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MaddieNB, and subscribe if you haven't already.
See you next time!